Listen, we all have jobs to do, right? A lot of us, we work in corporate America or we work at our jobs, wherever we work, wherever we go to get money. If we work in a corporation, if we're not entrepreneurs, right? And there's a time where you're an entrepreneur, there's a time where you have a side hustle, but there are also times where you just work the job and that's all you did. Now, a lot of us, when we work the job, we working with people mostly, let's keep it real, that we don't like, right? At least I think I did. I worked with a lot of people that I didn't like. Now there was a few people that were tribe and that are gang and that are still cool today. Shout out to y'all. But you're working with people you don't like. So when you're working this job, right? A lot of these people that you don't like, you have energy vampires, you have narcissists, you have people that gaslight you, you have people that are sociopaths, right? Especially if you work in a large corporation. So the key is if you're getting paid from this corporation, good money, right? A lot of times people accept disrespect. They accept someone talking to them a certain way. They accept someone saying certain things. They accept someone telling them when they could take off and when they can't take off. They accept certain restrictions that are inhumane, right? Now, we all have families to take care of. I get it. We all have our responsibilities. We all have bills. We all have issues that pop up. We all have trips and vacations and nice things that we want to do for ourselves and for our families and with our friends and lovers, so forth. But the thing is, don't take disrespect for a check. Don't let nobody disrespect you for a check. Because the one thing about it is, when you know that you are God and you know that you are a creator and you know that you have the ability to create anything in this universe, and this is not just hypothetically speaking, like you're made of stardust. Scientists will tell you that you're made of stardust. So you can make and create anything that you want here on Earth. And there's plenty of examples in movies and not fantasy movies, like real life stories where people have risen up from the dirt and have become successful in their own right. And especially if you live here in America, you're living an opportunity zone. There's people who come from so-called third world countries and blow up. And please don't tell me about racism when you have a computer and a laptop. Like um, you creating and selling something is not you creating and selling something is not taking away. It's adding on. So you have to create something and put something in this world. But don't take disrespect for a check. Man, even if you're going to work in corporate America and your goal is to rise up in corporate America and your goal is to, become the president or whatever, you know, I've seen glass ceilings in corporate America, but maybe you don't. And that is your goal and your purpose. While you're in there, just know that there's always another opportunity. There's always a way out. There's always a better gig. There's always a better idea. And there's always a different path that you could take. Don't ever think that you have to sit there and take disrespect because you have bills and a family, or take less than what you deserve. You going home unhappy. You going home ready to cry. You know what I'm saying? You mad at your kids for nothing. You know, slamming shit on the table because it's something that happened at the job. And this is not to say that things don't happen at the job, and the job itself might be stressful, right? However, the goal of life is peace. The goal of life is peace. peace of mind. You want peace of mind. You want to be comfortable. So if you're working at something where you're not comfortable, then find something that is going to make you comfortable. And once you're there, use the money while you're there to figure out what your purpose is, and then invest in your purpose in some way, shape, or form. If you have a hobby, make sure that you can make some money off of it. If you have an idea, figure out how to make some money off of it. You're on the internet already. You're on YouTube. You're on Instagram. You're on Facebook. You're on TikTok. You're on Snapchat. You're on Clubhouse. You're on Twitter. You're on all these platforms, and you're spending your time, and these platforms are selling your information. These platforms are selling your information, and you're not getting anything in exchange but entertainment, but a waste of time that you cannot get back. Don't take anyone's disrespect for a check when you are a God. Psalms 82:6. Go read it. It says, do you not know that ye are gods? Mind moves matter. It's not the other way around. Matter doesn't move mind. That's why you could read all the books in the world. That's why you could read all the books in the world, right? And you could still not do shit. You could read all the books in the world and just have a knowledge base, but never take action. And you could never take action. All you have is a knowledge base. That knowledge base that you have without action is worthless. They say knowledge is power, right? And knowledge is power to some degree. But there's a lot of smart people that are suffering, that are broke, that can't hold a decent conversation, that can't be around the opposite sex, that have weird perversions, that have weird perverse, toxic, narcissistic mindsets. These are the people in your neighborhood. So when so the best thing to do is work where you're working. Make your money, take care of your family. If your purpose is to work corporate America and grind through corporate America, do it, right? But don't sell your soul for it. In Cometian mythology, the principle, the deity Heru. Heru is willpower, but Heru is the willpower to be God even in time of crisis. What does that mean, to be God even in a time of crisis? The willpower to say, if I'm getting disrespected at work, or I'm getting disrespected in any relationship, work is just a relationship, but I'm constantly getting disrespected, right? I have the ability to constantly recreate my reality. That's what the Ouroboros is about. The image of a snake eating its tail in a circular motion. It's a new you constantly being regenerated. Kind of a snake constantly shedding its skin. And the power of Kundalini to do that, the power of taking action. And you may not be able to do it tomorrow or today and just quit your job or whatever, And you may not want to quit the job. You may like the job. This isn't for you. But a lot of us are working, and I know my personal experience, I've worked places that I didn't like. And I've worked places where I was disrespected. And I thought that I had to take it. I thought that I had to accept it. And once I shook the mindset that this is just a job, like I could get another one of these. I could get another one of these. But what I can't get is the way I feel at night, the sadness, the anxiety, the not wanting to wake up and go there. Those are the issues. And if you're feeling like that at a place that you're at a place that you're there for 40, sometimes 50 hours, and then travel could be 100 plus hours of your week, that you're basically handling business, that you're basically working somewhere away from your family. Even if you're working from home, you're still away from your family. You got to focus. So God has the ability to constantly recreate and constantly evolve. They say, oh, people are fixed in their ways because they're a certain age. That's not true. There's people 60, 70, 80 taking up fitness, becoming muscular and fit, 60, 70. I forgot the sister name. She is on Instagram. I think her name is Chef Babette. I think she's 70, 80, or even 90. Fit, healthy. She's constantly recreating herself. She is a god. Even if she's a Christian, right? At least she's using her Orisha as Jesus in order to recreate herself and do something. A lot of us are in these spiritual systems for escapism, for escaping the matrix. But Neo always had to go back in the matrix and be a superhero in the matrix, a superhero. So divine willpower is the ability, right? The Heru principle, Heru the Falcon. It's the ability to see above and beyond the same way a bird can see above and beyond the situation. Where if you're on the ground, you can't see from the perspective of a falcon, with you being on the ground. You looking from the perspective of a falcon is you having the perspective of a god and seeing the terrain and seeing the situation for what it is. And once you are able to see the situation from a bird's eye view or from a third eye view, you make decisions that fit that third eye view or your higher calling or your highest perspective or your divine mind or your God self or your Christ consciousness or your anointing, whatever you want to call it. But don't stay places where you're disrespected. That's one thing we have to get out of the mindset. And part of that is really a poverty mindset. It's a poverty mindset that we have been programmed to. We've been programmed to accept it. And a lot of it is through media, through a lot of black media that you watch. They depict black people, and not to say that we don't come from, harsh environments, but a lot of our media just reflects the realities, the harsh realities of harsh environments. But that's not all our stories. That's not all the way we live. And yes, they're getting a little more diverse now, but are they really? Look at the most popular black stories and see what, sorry, melanated stories, melanated people's stories, and see what they depict. The struggle, the hood, gang, gang, drugs, violence, sex, aggressive sexual appetites, criminality. This is how they depict us in the media, and even men and women, right? Men and women. Angry black woman. That's the other narrative. So don't accept disrespect for a check. It's not worth it. It's not worth you coming home sad to your family or even to yourself. It's not worth you drinking away the pain on the weekends, only to come back and do it again during the week. It's not worth smoking away the pain, coking away the pain, leaning away the pain. It has to be processed. And you need clear eyes in order to process what's going on. It's not to say you can't indulge in whatever you indulge in. I'm not saying that at all, because God knows I have some things I indulge in, right? However, there's also times when I'm not indulging. When I'm not indulging, I'm involved in creating and recreating different things. You have the internet. You have the internet. You're on the internet. So why not get something out of it? Now, if you're not on the internet like that, then, and that's not your thing to get something on the internet, then get something out in the world. Get something out in the, get something out in reality, non-virtual reality. But you got to do something. And you have to do something that you enjoy doing, something that makes you happy, something that makes your life lighter, makes your heart light, as light as a feather. You have to do something that makes your heart as light as a feather, which is a principle of Ma'at. And you need a clear mind to be able to get inspiration, ancestral wisdom. You need a clear mind to get ancestral wisdom, so that you could get and dig into your bloodline and your ancestral pool, which contains the energy of the Orishas, the Palos, the gods, the deities within you. And yes, there's ceremonies, shamanic ceremonies, where you could by the use of, certain herbs and certain plants, you could tap into the subconscious much easier. However, if you're doing that on a consistent basis and you're still taking disrespect for a check, and you have to constantly put yourself in that state in order to maintain peace, a peace of mind, in order to maintain happiness, and you got a problem. You got a big problem that you got to resolve. You got a big problem that you got to resolve. And the main thing is, it's all about having some sort of plan, mapping out a plan, having an idea and then writing it out and visualize it. And again, this is not the whole goal of spiritual development and esoteric spirituality. It's not only peace, but it is power as well. It's the ability to affect your environment the way you want. When you have that power, it gives you a peaceful mind. And the prosperity portion of that, which is also one of the goals, is you being able to exist in plenty. So you have plenty. Storages for the winter, water for the summer, right? You have corn and food and clothing and things you need in case of, you know, a Rona. In case of a Rona thing, you're able to maintain. Or in case there is snow all of a sudden in your warm state, you have prosperity. But the source of all that is peace. If you don't have a peace of mind, if you're stressed out at work, or if you're stressed out in what you're doing, that's why these entertainers be talking about they want to kill themselves. That's why they talk about they want to kill themselves. And you be like, how you want to kill yourself and you have all this money? Why did Robin Williams kill himself with all this money? You know? And oh, it's a conspiracy and they killed him. Okay. But all these entertainers that die, they can't all be conspiracies. They can't all be sacrifices. Because there's regular people that die from random people, for random reasons, and they're not sacrifices. So they can't all be sacrifices. There's regular people that die every day. And they're not sacrifices. So you mean to tell me just because you're an entertainer and you die, it's always a sacrifice? Sometimes, yeah, but not all the time. There's no absolutes in anything. Don't let anybody tell you who, what, and where you could be. Now, depending on the situation, they may tell you who, what, where you are, and where you could be, right? Well, who, what, and where you are, right? They can tell you who, what, and where you are. And they may be telling the truth, right? They may be telling the truth. But what it really is your interpretation of that truth and what you're going to do with that truth. So if somebody says you're a lazy bum and a couch potato, right? Or if somebody says, oh, you're overly aggressive, you're too harsh with your delivery, right? Two sides of the coin. It's up to you to look at that and examine that and see, is it true or is it bullshit? And you ultimately know yourself. So once you know yourself, you know if that's true. You know if you're a lazy bum and a couch potato, or if if you're overly aggressive and harsh and maybe an overworkaholic, right? Or a nag or some shit, right? And you could be on the other side of the spectrum, lazy bum, couch potato, you know what I'm saying? Smoke weed all day, don't do shit. You could be on either side of the spectrum. But it's not what's told to you. It's how you react. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it. And that's ultimately alchemy. See, we think of these things in these big, broad, grandiose terms, and we need these big, you know, a billion books and shit like that. Don't get me wrong. I read every day, even if it's just reading things on the internet that I'm interested in. I read every day, not just books, articles and things like that, right? But in that process, I still have to be responsible for what I accept as truth. So therefore, you got to cross-reference everything. You got to make sure that what people are telling you is real. You can't just take things on face value. Just because somebody says this is what it is doesn't mean this is what it is. And that's where the responsibility lies. Sometimes somebody's telling you the truth and you don't want to take time to work that through your mind, so you just get defensive and you just get on the attack. But it might be wisdom for you. Sometimes people are telling you a lie, but it sounds so good that you believe it to be true, and they're taking advantage of you. And most of the time that happens due to your emotions. This is why a lot of times, especially in corporate America, they always talk about you being a family. Oh, I'm just using this for example. Let's say you're working at Johnson and Brunson, and you're at the Johnson and Brunson family, and they have the company meeting. They're like, yeah, we here at the Johnson Brunson family. Y'all ain't my motherfucking family. Y'all ain't my family. Exactly. Y'all ain't my family. Y'all talking about some corporate reports. Y'all talking about some corporate reports and corporate earnings that you probably gave me less than 1% of. Or maybe if I'm lucky, 1%. Maybe. And I'm here with you 8 hours a day. Yeah, we're a family of sorts because I'm there 8 hours a day, sometimes 9. But you ain't giving me chicken soup when I'm sick, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? If I break my leg, you're not going to take out my garbage. So you're not family. You're just a place to go, and I perform a service and you give me money. Now, if I choose to meet people that connect with my interests at work or outside of work, that happens, of course, and that's different. But a lot of people get disrespected. A lot of women get harassed, and it's untold and it's unreported. A lot of men get talked down to and talked at, and they take it to be providers. And a lot of men, that's why a lot of men, when they first enter corporate America or enter the workforce, they don't want to go. They don't want to go because the level of disrespect and the way they try to humble proud male, especially black men, and shrink them or minimize their intelligence. So this is also part of emotional intelligence. I want to keep this under 30 minutes. This is also emotional intelligence. You being able to discern what matters, what is worth your emotions. Emotions are energy emotions. And as I always say, you're an electromagnetic being. The electricity comes from the heart. And what the heart resonates with, it brings in. So if your heart is constantly resonating with suffering and pain, then you're going to constantly bring in suffering and pain. But the goal is peace of mind. So you have to be the eye in the storm at all times. And that's how you make your way out of chaos. And that's how you're able to utilize chaos to your advantage, because you're always seeing things from a third eye perspective, from the Heru Falcon. That's why Heru has the eyes. The left watchette and the right watchette eye. Because it's about having the perspective of the Falcon, the perspective to see above your current circumstance and see what's next for you or what's out there for you. There will be jobs and places to work, even with them automating everything and transhumanism forever, Well, maybe for quite some time before AI completely wipes out humanity on this planet. But there will always be another recycling station for humanity and a reincarnation station for humanity, which is what this really is. That's always going to happen. There's always going to be some form of because that's what this is. This is basically like you fucked up in the past life, so you're here this life and this life, right? You have to this life you have to take it to the next level, and you have to learn your lessons this life. And the lessons are like a video game. They're usually like characters you got to fight and bosses and bosses. And once you beat this boss or this challenge, and you learn the lesson from this challenge, you go on to the next lesson, the next challenge. So think about where you currently are making your money, or what you're currently making your money from. Even if you're getting a PPP loan, or you're on unemployment, or think about what you're utilizing it for, and think about what you could cut back on. And I'm just talking to y'all. This is for me too. This is just me, speaking through the spirit. But think about what you can cut back on, what you can change, what you can, you know, what you really need, and what you are what you're working towards. Like, what's your goal? Are you just drifting? Like, what's the next step? Like, where are you trying to go financially? What is your mindset towards money? What is your mindset towards abundance? Is it always you're going to be in a struggle? Is it always you're going to go through hardship? Is it always it's the devil? It's people not giving you a shot? It's the government? It's the white man? But you got a whole smartphone in your hand? Do you know what? Do you know what your ancestors would have done with a smartphone if they had it during chattel slavery? And even if you don't believe in, let's say you don't believe in, that the idea of slavery, because that's a new thing on the internet. Slavery didn't exist. There's no slave boats. Okay. But there's plenty of plantations and shit like that. But, okay, it didn't exist. So even if you don't think that, right? You still know that there was colored only and whites only. That's reason enough for you to know that there was separation. Jim Crow is still 100, 200 years. So there's enough recorded history for you to know that that existed. So imagine during Jim Crow, they had a smartphone, what they would be able to do with Black Wall Street, what they would be able to do with Greensboro, what they would have been able to do in New York, in Texas, in Washington, in Chicago, these black meccas, right? Well, maybe not Texas at the time, but, Philly and all these other places, if they had smartphones back then. So what are we doing with them? It's great to watch YouTube. It's great to Google things. But what are we really using them to do that's going to help us ascend financially? Because at the end of the day, and I'm going to close, I'm going towards 35 minutes. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do, you're trying to recreate your best self on a consistent basis. And you can't do that if you're sad and you're suffering and you're drinking and smoking and leaning and pilling your way out of the current situation you're in on a consistent basis. If you're doing these things on a consistent basis and your life's not improving in any way, shape, or form, and you're not improving in any way, shape, or form, and you're working at places that you don't like, and you're getting disrespected at the job, and you're getting disrespected in other areas as well, and it's painful, and you're trying to escape the pain, but sometimes you got to face the pain and see the source of the pain. And that's what the shadow work is. Shadow work is dealing with the issues of the person who emotionally abused you, the person that physically abused you, the person that mentally abused you, the situations, the traumas, the people that died, that hurt you, the things that changed you, the things that shifted you, and face these things. And ask yourself, where do these ideas and where do these concepts come from that make you the way you are? You can have all the altars in the world, all of them, a whole botanica's worth. But if you don't have Jesus, yeah, you can have all the altars in the world, do all the spell work in the world. But if you're not pointing some of this self work towards you opening up these chakras, how about a yellow candle strictly dedicated towards your sacral chakra? Your solar plexus. How about a yellow candle, plain yellow candle, strictly dedicated towards opening your solar plexus chakra? And after you light the candle, you meditate and you put an affirmation. I am confident, I am brave, associated with the yellow candle of that solar plexus chakra. And you get something like sunflowers, or you get something from the store like sunflower seeds, and you put a little bit in that candle, because you know sunflowers, the sun is what opens sunflowers, and you let that light hit that sunflower seed, and that's when that sunflower opens. But you put those sunflower seeds in the candle to represent you're opening up that chakra point. Not just wanting to hex, not just wanting to do something magical and make a Merkaba, and like, you are a Merkaba if your character, if you are a wise noble, if you are a wise, strong noble, you are a Merkaba already. Solomon, the story of Solomon is allegorical, but that is what it's about, wisdom. And the way you get wisdom is through peace of mind. You do not get wisdom through chaos. Because the blanket of chaos, even in the universe that we live in, dark matter is the blanket of chaos. The foundation of chaos is dark matter. It's that darkness of space. You see the stars, and then behind the stars there's darkness. That's dark energy, dark matter. And when you close your eyes, what's the background? That same darkness that's out there. I said I was going to stop 30 minutes, and I'm at 39 minutes. It's probably going to be longer because I'll slap an intro on here. But I'm not going to edit this one. I'm going to stop this now. But again, back to the original premise. Don't let nobody disrespect you for a check, B. It's not worth it. There's jobs. And if you're in a struggle, you need a job, you need it, I get it. Keep going. I'm not saying quit. I'm not saying dump the job. I'm not saying nothing like that. What I am saying, come up with a plan, or start looking for some other place that you may like to work, or start looking, better yet, start looking at your own self, looking at your own talents, looking at things that you already like and love, and again, figure out a way to monetize it, even if it's just extra money on the side while you work the job you hate till you find something better, or the thing that you that was a hobby that you turned into a way to make money blows up and gets bigger. And let's say you got another interest besides that hobby, another hobby, you find a way to make money from it, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you keep working through that. Don't let nobody disrespect you for a check. Do not take disrespect for a check. But you have to have the perspective of a God to see that. You have to have the willpower to say, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. My divinity is way more important than money. My respect, because divinity is respect of self. If you're a God, you got to respect yourself. If you call yourself a king or a queen, that's a title of high respect, right? Nobility. People bow to kings and queens. But what's a king and a queen to a God? Peace, power, prosperity, y'all. Rob Blackstorm. Like, share, subscribe. One love.